I am Hiroshini from Sri Lanka. I am going to talk about my ongoing research project titled Breaking with Tradition, Sri Lankan Academic Perspectives on Adapting Open Educational Practices, OEP, for formal education. So it comes under inclusion theme. So they move on the next slide. So this is the layout of my presentation. So I'm going to present the details about my project under these topics, and we'll discuss when it comes to the slides. And introduction. As I mentioned earlier, this research comes under the inclusion theme. It was developed as a case study. Past researchers has already claimed the academic culture in Sri Lanka is still incorporated with traditional teaching. Our teachers prefer to work individually rather than collaboratively with a group. And mostly they are very reluctant to share their materials with others and do not like to use others' materials for their teaching. Under these circumstances, don't you think that OEP adoption is a breaking with tradition? So I felt so. So it's a breaking with tradition. And it's very important to analyze academic perspectives on adapting OEP if we want to establish it in the Sri Lankan academic system. What was cause for me to get this research idea? Mainly, I was inspired by two sentences which were available in the program review manual published by the University Grant Commission. Because these days, all our faculties are undergoing a program review. And we have to do the program review based on this manual. So in that manual, I saw sentences that every faculty has to establish a policy to adopt OER for teaching. But including my faculty, all the other faculties, they have not done anything regarding on this policy matter. Then I started to search OER adoption stories in the Sri Lankan context. So it was really hard for me to find any research articles in Sri Lankan context. Luckily, with the help of Dr. Leanne, I found several publications from one person only. She is Professor Shironika Karunanayaka. She is the only person who has done the research on this subject area. So mostly the research rationale was expounded by her publication. And when it comes to the aims and objectives, and I thought that I need to do this research to understand the academics' perspectives, problems, and their likeliness to adapt OEP for formal teaching and learning. And my ultimate goal, I want to do some recommendation to the administrations or some policy level planners if we want to establish OEP within the university system in Sri Lanka. And who are my study group? Actually, I chose the university which I am working for, and there are 9 faculties available in the university, and around 800 staff members are working in 9 faculties. The faculties offer degrees in different disciplines. So they are the study group of my research. And I have used 3 measurements to collect the data. The first measurement, I just use web access log to identify the access patterns of OER and MOOC sites through the university network. And actually, I have obtained the SQUID log of that data, but the web access logs data is very huge and it takes time to process. So I'm planning to use some data mining techniques to identify some categories. And still it's in the doing the pre-processing stage, so I cannot present my output by collected data using the web access logs. And the secondly, I develop a survey to measure the awareness of OEP and easiness and their idea to adopt this OEP for their teaching and learning. And the third measurement I use interview to measure the system feasibility. The third measurement I use to do more qualitative analysis to get their true idea about how the faculty readiness and to establish OEP in their formal teaching and learning. And some results from the survey, and you can see there are two pie charts here in this slide, and the first pie chart shows the answers to the question what is their present knowledge and experience on using MOOCs for their teaching and learning. And the second pie chart shows what is their experience and knowledge on using OER for their teaching and learning. And you can see that the blue color shows the academic staff percentage, those who are using MOOCs and OER. And when compared to the MOOCs, that 50% are using OER for their teaching and learning, but only 21.1% are using MOOCs for their learning and teaching. And you can see there are 13.2% they don't have any idea about what is MOOC, while only 5.3% they don't know about OER. So you can see the situation in the Sri Lankan academics about OER and MOOC. And when it comes to the willingness of publishing their work as open educational materials, and 8% that they rejected the idea, and only 45% like to publish it within the institution, and very less amount, like 29%, agree to publish it with the globally fully access. And I gave them to answer, to write their own idea with more comments, and then created this word cloud based on their comments. And you can see most of them, they have mentioned about their lack of awareness and lack of knowledge about this concept. And most of them have requested for the training and some workshop to get the concept and idea. And actually, I only could complete 3 interviews. It's very difficult to get the time from the academic staff member. I had to use my network, and only 3 members I could contact and do the interviews. And but luckily, those 3 members are from 3 different faculties. You can see the first faculty that it's very far behind from adapting any new technology. Like the third faculty, you can see that the faculty which I am working for, since I am there, that I have done a lot of innovative things, and I have done a lot of workshops. They are having some kind of idea when compared to the other faculties. And when it comes to the conclusion, and I think that that 38 responses are not enough to come to a complete and conclusion, and what is their idea and how they adopt, how they agree to adopt this OEP. But I think that it definitely will be a very difficult task when we start to introduce OEP to the university. And I expect to get the more responses to the survey, and I expect to complete my weblog analysis. And at the end of this research, I will publish this as a research paper and prepare a summary report which can be submitted to the university administration. And the important thing I should mention in my presentation, that I got the networking support to complete this research, and I got support from my network in different areas, in different stages, like to finalize my research questions, survey, interview questions, and abstract, post, and the final presentation also. But what I mostly cherished for being a network practitioner, for getting moral support and motivation to move forward. And thank you so much for my tutor and my dear friends for all the support I received to get it done, this work, and move forward my work, and start a good project to establish OEP in the university system. So that's end of my presentation, and I would like to open the presentation for questions.
Thank you, Irashini. A round of applause, please, for Irashini. Lots of comments and questions have gone through, Irashini, particularly around the balance between the technology issue and the use of open practices. When you go to the senior managers at the university to discuss the use of open practice, do you think there needs to be a strand addressing technology as well at the same time? Do you think the two things need to come together?
Yeah, and actually it's very difficult to convince them, right? And firstly, they think it's an extra work for them, and I had to show some of the example to say that it's not actually extra work, that we can save a lot of time by adapting this technology to our teaching, but it's very difficult to convince them, and without the support from the higher level, it's very difficult.
Sure. Do you have a critical mass of colleagues who are interested and willing, if not already very interactive with open resources?
Yeah, it's when I actually to do the interview, I had to go to the people and talk with them individually, and some of them, firstly, they don't know about the concept, and that's the drawback that I've found, and they didn't know the concept. But when I explained the concept, they are willing, because most of them are publishing their research papers in the ResearchGate. So they said it's something like that, so they are willing to do that. And as the previous presentation, that if we want to get more citations, we have to publish it openly, otherwise only few crowd will attract to our publications. And I thought that if I have done some awareness program before starting this project, that would be much effect. I would have be getting more responses.
Sure, but it's good that they're so positive about the idea of it.
Yeah.
Do you think, is your situation similar to what we heard about Bangladesh, that although your students maybe don't have a great deal of access to computers, a lot of them maybe have access to smartphones?
No, we do. I mean, in our situation, we have much. I mean, more facilities, and our infrastructure is very good, and all the faculties are having Wi-Fi, and we don't have any power problems, and we have generators if power goes, and most of the students are having smartphone, and the thing is it's not the student side, it's the staff side. Our staff, the academic members' attitudes are very hard to change. And
sure.
So that's a problem. All the other, except the academic attitudes, all the other available features are in the universities.
Okay, so what do you think the institutional steps need to be? That, you know, if you could get the senior managers to do one or two big things, what do you think they could do to help shift these attitudes amongst the academic staff?
The first thing they have to, as I mentioned in the program manual, now they have to, I mean, in the review process, if they have to complete it to get the marks, and because they have to compete with the other universities, and they have to collect the marks. Then they have to establish the policy. I mean, that's the first thing that they have to do, establish a policy in the faculty board, and we have to do that. So that's the main thing that they should do it if they want to adopt the OAP.
Sure. That makes sense. Lots of praise and positive comments going through in the chat pane for you. I'll make sure you get those if you haven't seen them. Can we have another round of applause for Irashini, please? Thank you for your answers to the questions, Irashini.
Thank you.